Why can I talk? Hey, welcome to my channel. This is the Reddit mess series. If you guys have came from TikTok, I just want to say thank you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. So someone actually sent me this Reddit, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave them anonymous. There's some people that don't want their business out there like that. I completely understand. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. So this Reddit is off of, the subreddit is Copy Pasta. Copy Pasta. And it's called The Infamous Swamps of Dagobah. Okay, let's get into it. Nurse here, this is kind of a long one. I was taking call one night and woke up at 2 a.m. for a general surgery. Pretty vague, but at the time I lived in a town that had large populations of young military guys and avid meth users. So late night emergencies were common. I got to the hospital where a few more details awaited me. Periodical abscess. Hopefully I said that right. For the For the uninitiated, this means that somewhere in the immediate vicinity of the asshole there was a pocket of pus that needed draining. Needless to say, our entire crew was less than thrilled. So I went down to the emergency room to transport the patient, and the only thing that the ER nurse said as she handed me the chart was, "Have fun with this one." Amongst healthcare professionals, vague statements like that are a bad sign. My patient was a 350-pound Native American woman who barely fit on the stretcher. I was transporting her on. She was rolling around frantically side to side and moaning in pain, pulling at her clothes and muttering Hail Marys. I could barely get her name out of her after a few minutes of questioning. So after I confirmed her identity and what was going on, I figured it was best just to get her to the get her to an anesthesiologist. To get her to an anesthesiologist so we could knock her out and get the circus started. Not get the circus started. Continued her theatrics the entire 10-minute ride to the OR, nearly falling off the surgical table as we were trying to put her under anesthetic. We see patients like this a lot though, chronic drug abusers who don't handle pain well, and who have used so many drugs that even increased levels of pain medication don't touch simply because of high tolerance levels. It should be noted, tonight's surgical team was not exactly wet behind the ears. I've been working in healthcare for several years already, mostly psych and medical settings. I've watched an 88-year-old man tear a 1-diameter catheter balloon out of his penis while screaming, you'll never make me talk." This is like list 100,000 why I could never be like a doctor. Because babe, if I were to ever see someone pull something out of their penis simply because they don't want to talk about something, I would be traumatized for life. I would be traumatized for life because God knows, He would never put more than me than I can bear, because I would not be able to handle that. But anyways, so we got this 88-year-old man, I repeat, 88-year-old man tearing a 1-inch diameter catheter balloon out of his penis while screaming, "You'll never make me talk." Babe, whatever secrets that you want to hold on to, you can take them to your grave, because I didn't need to see all that. Anyways, getting back into it, I've been attacked by an HIV positive neo-Nazi. I've seen some shit. The other nurses have been in the OR as a trauma specialist for over 10 years. The anesthesiologist had done residency at a level 1 trauma center, or as we call them, knife and gun clubs. The surgeon was ex-army and averaged about 8 words and 2 facial expressions a week. None of us expected what was about to happen next. We got the lady off to sleep, put her into the stirrups, and I began washing off the rectal area. It was red and inflamed. A little bit of pus was seeping through, but it was all pretty standard. Her chart had noted that she had been injecting IV drugs through her... There's too many big words in this. Through her... I'm going to make sure that I read this through. We're going to get through this together. Perineum. So this was obviously an infection from dirty needles or bad drugs. But overall, it didn't seem to warrant her repeated crisis of, "Oh, Jesus, kill me now." The surgeon steps up with a scalpel, sinks just the tip in, and at that exact moment, the patient had a muscle twitch in her diaphragm. And just like that, all hell broke loose. Ooh. So unbeknownst to us, the infection had actually tunneled nearly a foot into her abdomen, creating a vast cavern full of pus, rotten tissue, and fecal matter that had seeped out inside of her colon. This godforsaken mixture came rocketing out of the little incision like we were recreating the funeral scene from James Austen's Mafia. Whoever wrote this was very, very descriptive in how they wanted to give us this imagery. Because baby, when I tell you I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the vision that this person had saw. I'm seeing it. Thank you. Getting back into it though, we wear waterproof gowns, face masks, gloves, hats, the works. All of which were as helpful as rain boots against a firehouse. The bed was in the middle of the room, an easy 7 foot from the nearest wall. But by the time we were done, I was still finding bits of rotten flesh pasted against the back wall. As the surgeon continued to advance his blade, the torrent just continued. The patient kept seizing against the ventilator, not uncommon in surgery, in which every muscle contraction she shot more of the brackish gray-brown fluid out onto the floor. And so within minutes, it was seeping into the other nurse's shoes. Jesus! I was nearly 12 feet away, jaw dropped open with my surgical mask, watching the second nurse dry heaving and the surgeon standing on tiptoes to keep the stuff from soaking his socks any further. The smell hit him first. Oh God, I just threw up in my mask. The other nurse was out. She tore up her mask and sprinted out of the room, shoulders still heaving. Then it hit me. Mouth still wide open, not able to believe the volume of fluid this woman's body contained. It was getting like a great big bite of this despair and apathy that was like, I couldn't fucking breathe. My lungs simply refused to pull any more to that stuff in. The anesthesiologist went down next. Jesus, this lady is taking them out one by one. I'm sorry, like this sounds like something out of like a movie. I'm so sorry. Like you have like a group of doctors in here trying to help this lady out. And she's over here gushing like a volcano, you know, like a little science fair volcano mixed with baking soda and vinegar, just gushing everywhere of rotten fluids. And it's getting on nurses, taking nurses out one by one. Oh my gosh. It's too much. This is too much. Anyways, so the anesthesiologist went down next. And then an ex-NCAA D1 tailback, his 6'2" frame shaking as he threw open the door to the OR suite in an attempt to get more air in. Letting me glimpse the second nurse still throwing up in the sinks outside the door. Another geyser of pus splashed across the front of the surgery. Babe. I know this is so unprofessional. I know this is. When I tell you, I would have walked out. I would have walked out. They'd have been like, where is doctor? Babe, she's gone. She couldn't complete the job. There would be no such thing as a 2 weeks notice that day. I'm so sorry. When it comes to like smells, if it smells that vile the way like I'm imagining this, I would not be able to perform my best. I would not. So getting back into it, the YouTube clip of David the dentist keeps playing in my head. Is this real life? In all operating rooms everywhere in the world, regardless of socialized or privatized, secular or religious, big or small, there is one thing that's the same. Somewhere there is a bottle of peppermint concentrate. Everyone in the department knows where it is. Everyone knows what it is for, and everyone prays to their gods. They have never had to use it. In times like this, we rub it in on the inside of our mask to keep the outside smells at bay long enough to finish the procedure and shower off. Damn. So this lady was smelling real funky that they had to get to the peppermint concentrate to slap in their mask. Ooh. Ooh, okay. I sprinted to our central supply, ripping open the drawer where the vial of ambrosia was kept. And not the vial of ambrosia. Is it ambrosia? Anyways, it was greeted an empty fucking box. The bottle had been empty and not replaced. Somewhere out there was a godless bastard who had been using the last of the peppermint oil and not replaced a single fucking drop of it. To this day, if I figure out who it is, I'll kill them. With my bare hands, but not before cramming their head up the colon of last year's meth head user that I can find. So just so we're even. So I darted back into the room with the next best thing that I can find. A vial of... Jesus, they're using too many doctor words. Too many medical terms. Mestizo. I'm going to put that up here as well so you guys can see what I see. Anyways, which is an adhesive rub we use sometimes for bandaging. It's not as good as peppermint, but considering that over 1/3 of the floor was now thoroughly coated in what could easily be mistaken for a combination of bovine after birth and maple syrup, we were out of options. The fact that this lady had like the whole medical floor stinking, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. I hate the way like hospitals smell anyways, but the fact that she was literally able to put all of her essence out on a medical floor. It's very disturbing. Anyways, I started rubbing as much of the mestizo as I could get on the inside of my mask. Just glad to be smelling anything except whatever was slimy demon spawn, which demon spawn we just cut out of this woman. The anesthesiologist grabbed the vial next, dowsing the front of his mask in it so he could stand next to the machines long enough to make sure this woman didn't die on the table. It wasn't until later that we realized the mestizo could give us a mild high from huffing it like this. But in retrospect, that's probably what got us through. This lady here. At this time, the smell had penetrated out of our suite and down the 40-foot hallway of the front desk, where the other nurse still sat, eyes bloodshot and watery, clenching her stomach desperately. Our suite looked like the underground river of ooze from Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters! Okay, I can get back into it. Except dirty. Oh, so dirty. I stepped back into our suite, not wanting to leave the surgeon by himself in case he genuinely needed help. It was like one of those overly artistic representations of a zombie apocalypse you see on a fans forum. Here's the one guy in blue surgical garb, standing nearly ankle deep in lumps of dead tissue, fecal matter, and severe liters of syrupy infection. He was performing surgery in the swamps of Dagobah. Except the swamps had just come out of this woman's ass and there was no Yoda. Fix it, Jesus. Fix it, Jesus. Babe, this is too much. This is too much. This is too much. He and I did not say a word for the next 10 minutes as he scraped the insides of the abscess until all the dead tissue was out. The front of his gown was a gruesome mixture of brown and red. His eyes squinted against the stinking vapors originating directly in front of him. I finished my required paperwork as quickly as I could. I helped him stuff the recently vacated opening full of gauze, take this woman's buttocks close to hold the dressing for as long as possible. I woke her up and immediately shipped her off to the recovery ward. Until then, I only heard of alcohol showers. Turned out 70% of alcohol is about the only thing that can even touch a scent like that once it's soaked into the skin. It takes 4 or 5 bottles to get really skinned, but it's worth it. It's probably the only scenario I can honestly endorse drinking a little bit of it too. Wow, that's crazy. Like when I'm reading this, I guess like what comes to my mind is like, you know how like certain foods like it's very pungent and like it seeps into your pores. The way they're describing this is basically like her infected, decaying skin was so strong, it was so potent that they could smell it on their body. That literally would have me traumatized. At this point in time, I feel like I wonder, like, do doctors, like, in regards to certain situations, like a story like this, would y'all like actually write this out? You know, like have like a play-by-play book for like other incoming doctors like to read and go over it? You know what I'm trying to say? Does that make sense? Like a what not to do or be mentally prepared? You know, just like something for incoming doctors, nurses to just like kind of go over in that moment in time. Like I feel like this should be like in like a syllabus. You know, like when you're in school and stuff like that, I feel like this should be like in someone's syllabus right here. Like what to do, what to grab, what do you need? Like I feel like this right here, in this case right here, I feel like this should be like in someone's syllabus somewhere out there to mentally prepare students in regards to what they can expect. Or like a questionnaire of things that they think that they would need, like this peppermint stuff, ambrosia, whatever. List that off in someone's paper. Oh, this is a lot. Anyways, getting back into it, as we left the locker room, the surgeon and I looked at each other, and he said only negative sentence I heard him utter in 2.5 years of working together. That was bad. The next morning, the entire department, a fairly large floor within the hospital, still smelled. The housekeeper told me later that it took them nearly an hour to suction up all the fluid and debris left behind. The OR suite itself was closed off and quarantined for 2 more days just to let the smell finally air out. I laugh now when I hear new recruits tell healthcare talk about the worst thing that they've seen. You ain't seen shit, kid. Wow. Okay, that was the end of the story. I mean, comment down below what you think. Like, do you think you'd be able to be a doctor or a nurse? Like, would you be able to survive this? Let me know in the comments.